I will probably make even more enemies with this episode. And the worst part, I love that. Because one day I understood that if no one hates you, you are not disrupting anything. And if you are not disrupting anything, you are not transforming anything. We were taught that success should be elegant, quiet, acceptable, but no person who changed history ever grew without resistance. Not one. The human brain is wired to protect social balance. The moment you show a version of yourself that is more ambitious, more confident, more intense, you trigger a different reaction in others. That reaction is not called admiration, it's called threat. A threat to the status quo, a threat to identity, a threat to invisible hierarchies. So they criticize you, they label you, they minimize what you are doing, what you are breathing. And if you are never experiencing that, either you are extremely lucky or your impact is extremely small. Yes, I know that hurts, but this is a culture episode. Here's something most people are afraid to say. Neutrality feels safe, but it never creates anything extraordinary. Neutral people don't trigger deep love and then don't trigger deep rejection. They just stay in the middle, and I realize that wanting to be liked by everyone is a survival strategy. But wanting to respect myself is a growth strategy, and those two strategies cannot coexist. So today we are going to talk about something self-development rarely dares to touch. How to make enemies, what it is inevitable, and how to use them as fuel for expansion. Because if you want to rise, you must accept that you will disturb. Jingle. Hello, and welcome back to the Lio BodyMind channel, the podcast that breeds your physical and mental power. We grew up with a deeply rooted belief. Being loved equals being safe. And biologically, that is true. The human brain is tribal. For thousands of years, being excluded from the group meant death. So your nervous system is naturally right to seek acceptance. Neuroscience studies show that social rejection activates the same brain circuit as physical pain. In simple words, your brain doesn't fully distinguish between they don't like you and they just got hit. And that's why rejection feels uncomfortable. But here's the paradox. What protects you biologically can limit you psychologically. Because when you try to please everyone, you adjust yourself to every room. You lower your intensity around intimidated people. You reduce your ambition around stagnant people. You hide your depth around superficial people. And slowly you forget who you are without adapting. And that is a real danger. A person constantly seeking approval becomes blurry. And a blurry person inspires neither deep love or neither rejection. They just inspire one thing: indifference. And indifference is far more dangerous than criticism. Criticism means you touch something. Indifference means you moved nothing. Neutrality has never breathed an extraordinary life. Extraordinary people polarize. Always. Here's my personal story. When I started speaking about neuroscience while mixing sports, trauma, and identity, people told me you should pick a side. It's too complicated. You are too intense. It's too much. I remember one message clearly. Someone wrote, I cannot tell if you are a coach, a therapist, or some kind of guru. For a second, my nervous system reacted, and I felt the urge to simplify, to fit into one clear box, to become easier to understand. But then I realized something powerful. People are not confused by your complexity. They are disturbed by your coherence. When you fully embrace your different dimensions, you refuse to fit into a label that makes others comfortable. And a woman who cannot be in just one box is unsettling. If I had chosen to please, I would have softened my message, separate my topics, made everything more acceptable. But when you keep softening your swag, you become bland, and bland is comfortable, but bland never expands. I would rather disturb with my clarity than comfort people by striking. There is something nobody explains clearly. Enemies don't appear randomly. They appear when you move, when you elevate, when you create contrast. If you stay still, you don't disturb much. If you grow, you create tension. And tension creates reactions. And there are four main dynamics behind this. First dynamics, you trigger social comparison. Psychologist Leon Festinger showed that humans constantly evaluate themselves through comparison. It's automatic, unconscious, and constant. So when you evolve, you are not just improving, you are shifting invisible hierarchies. Your growth highlights someone else in action, and then you become uncomfortable for them because you are a living reminder, a reminder that is possible, a reminder that time is passing, a reminder that excuses are weak. And nobody likes a mirror that reflects what they avoid. This issue is not your success, it's the cognitive dissonance you create. Cognitive dissonance is the tension between who someone believes they are and what reality shows. You embody a reality that challenges their narrative. So they have two options, growth or reject you. Guess which one is easier? Reject you. 2, you break relational walls. Every relationship has an invisible contract. Maybe you were the nice one, the understanding one, the mediator, the one who always apologizes first, the one who adapts, and the moment you decide to align with yourself, you break that contract. People don't hate your growth, they hate you losing the comfort you provided. When you set boundaries, you redistribute power, and the brain hates loss more than it loves gain. If your alignment represents a loss for someone, they will resist it through criticism, through grade, through emotional withdrawal. That is not a sign you are wrong, it's a sign you left the world. 3, you expose inconsistencies. The more congruent you become, the more visible others people inconsistencies feel. Someone who says they want success but never act will feel challenged by your discipline. Someone who says they want healing will feel challenged by your emotional work. Someone who says they want grow will feel challenged by your courage. You are not attacking them, I got it, but you are existing, and sometimes existing with intensity is enough to trigger hostility. And the last dynamic that few people say out loud, if no one criticizes you, your message may not be clear enough. Every impactful figure in history had enemies. Impact is never neutral. The problem is not rejection. The problem is what you sacrifice to avoid it. Because when you avoid rejection, you also avoid greatness. So the question is how to make enemies on purpose. Step number 1, speak your truth. Not the socially acceptable version, but the one aligned with your values. Clarity creates polarization, and that is healthy. Step number 2, stop apologizing for existing. Every unnecessary apology is self-rejection. Sorry for being ambitious, sorry for having standards, sorry for wanting more. Each time you do that, you shrink yourself. The less you shrink, the more visible you become. And visibility creates polarity. Step number 3, set boundaries. Boundaries create frustration. But remember that someone who respects your boundaries will never become your enemy. The ones who get angry will benefit from your lack of them. Step number 4, the most important, succeed. Nothing creates more enemy than a visible success, especially when you come from the same environment, because you break the collective belief that it's not possible. And when you prove that it is, excuses become uncomfortable. Some people would rather attack the proof than question their own limits, and that's okay. Having enemies is not a relationship problem. It's a growth indicator, and the real question is not how do I avoid them? The real question is, am I ready to have them? Haters are no-wall feedbacks. Criticism activates your amygdala. But if your prefrontal cortex takes control, you can turn the attack into information. Always ask yourself if there are even 2% of truth in what they are saying. If yes, adjust. If no, it confirms that you are disrupting. Either way you grow, either way you win. One day, someone once told me, "What do you think you are?" Years ago, that would have shaken me. And now I ask to myself, what does this person need me to think smaller of myself? Enemies rarely speak about you. They speak from their ceilings. And I think the best response is just love. Not passive tolerance, but grounded love. The kind that allows you to recognize facts, takes responsibility from your part. Remember that you control your interpretation and you decide whether criticism defines you. Once you do that, what can they use against you? Nothing. Because you are no longer defining an image. You are aligned with reality. And an aligned person is psychologically hard to destabilize. And that's the end of this episode. Maybe you are a friend of having enemies. But let me tell you something powerful. It might be your greatness blessing. And remember that trying to please everyone means belonging to no one. But disturbing means you exist. If this episode made you slightly uncomfortable, maybe you are ready for the next level. And if you are enjoyed, share with someone who needs to hear it. And tell me in comments, are you ready to be respected, even if it means not being liked by everyone? Until next time, take care, keep rising, and I will see you into the next one. Ciao, ciao!